Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on phishing today, which is being recorded. It is my privilege to introduce Isaac Oosthuizen, the founder and MD of Zero IT and best-selling author of 2 cybersecurity books. Zero provides end-to-end business cybersecurity and IT services to SMEs. Isaac has over 20 years of IT experience. His passion is to help organizations safeguard themselves against cyber threats. He has worked with the likes of Giorgio Armani, WeWork, Energy UK, and Edmund Rothschild. In addition, Isaac is a member of the Entrepreneurs Organisation London. I will be your moderator for this webinar. You can post any questions in the chat and they will be answered during the Q&A at the end. Thank you for joining us this morning. Over to you, Isaac.
Thank you, Fawn, and welcome everybody. In today's webinar, we'll be looking at the reality of email security in the workplace, a quick overview on type of email threats, how to mitigate risk and protect yourself, followed by a Q&A at the end. We'll also make these slides and recording available. Again, thank you for joining. Email systems is a reservoir of valuable business and personal information. We have anything from meeting invites, video call invites, invoices, bank details, business strategy in our emails. Over 83% of the cyber attacks in the UK were caused by phishing emails. The drama doesn't get easier with hackers sending over 3 billion phishing emails per day, consistently trying to gain access. IBM estimates that the cost per incident is over £3 million. There are over 2 million domains registered that are tied to phishing attacks. We've recently seen 130 NHS staff accounts got hacked by a phishing email. Everyone around the world is actually experiencing an increase in email attacks. I'm sure you would agree it requires attention. Type of email threats. Email phishing is an attempt to steal personal information with deceptive emails that looks like it's from a known service that you might be using already. We see this often. You get a random email that you urgently need to act immediately, asking you to click on a link that will require your credentials. They will also often link you to a website that contains malware. The end result might not be immediate, but malware will be installed on your PC and often contains a virus or spyware that will perform keystroke logging, or even worse, ransomware. You also get more targeted, focused email phishing, referred to as spear phishing, where they would send certain type of messages, for example, to system administrators in a certain industry that might be relevant and specific to the industry. Or an example could be graphic designers that get an email alert that their cloud design package has expired and credit card details need to be updated. Another form of phishing would be whale phishing, and where it's more after or targeting the bigger fish in organizations, also referred to as the CXX or the CEO or CFO level. Example would be where the CEO receives email alert that his LinkedIn account is expired. Not knowing it's a phishing email, he clicks on the link and accidentally installs spyware on his PC. Another shocking reality is that with very limited digital or technical knowledge, you could actually buy phishing kits as a service from as little as $100 US. The attacker will share these emails with the provider, and the provider would send the emails out on your behalf, and they will form a form of a revenue sharing agreement. Another type of email threat is man-in-the-middle attack, also known as email hijacking. This is where the hacker will silently gain access to someone's email through phishing or any other scam. The attacker will monitor communication between the victim and, as an example, a client. They will wait for the right time or the right moment to send the email from the victim's email to the customer, instructing them to change the bank details for a scheduled payment. Once the payment has been transferred, the hackers will literally move the money in minutes, making them untraceable. Many also believe that the final blow for the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign in 2016 was after thousands of emails was leaked because of email hijacking. Business email compromise. This is where they are targeting companies or individuals who are performing transfer of fund requests in the business. Hackers will follow the company, try and work out the roles within the business, try understand the different line managers' roles, and send email requests to a responsible staff member from a known name. We've seen attempts before where they would impersonate a line manager from a fake email that's outside the company. This happened without hacking, registering a domain that's similar to yours, or stealing credentials, but purely changing the display name. The email address could be 123@gmail.com, and you just change the display name to whatever the line manager's name might be. Another type of email threat is also cloud-based systems provides many advantages compared to an on-premise email server, but also poses major risks as they are now publicly accessible. Where in the past, an on-premise server, you would have a local network with a firewall that safeguards it. And now the hackers no longer need to first breach the local network. They could, for instance, buy or steal your Office 365 credentials and use the credentials to gain access directly. How to mitigate risk and protect yourself. So what are the steps we can take to mitigate the risk? Do you have cybersecurity awareness training program? Will your staff be able to identify a phishing attack? Over 30% of all violations result of an employee just making a simple mistake and can be avoided by bringing awareness. We also recommend that you have phishing simulations set up on fixed intervals. This is a great way of measuring the awareness in your organization. Multi-factor authentication can block up to 99% of hacks. Like with the banks these days, it's a must-have. Email filters will scan your emails before it reaches your mailbox and also potentially block phishing emails. The fact remains 94% of malware is delivered via email. Additional layer of security on emails are required to protect yourself. Domain security, also known as a security blind spot. Many of us overinvest in the ever-evolving cybersecurity threats, but forget your domain is a fundamental part to conduct business. When it comes to your domain, you need to ensure you have proper access control, a secure portal, employ multi-factor authentication, IP validation if anybody had to access it. Also ensure the digital certificate policy that only authorized certification authorities to issue a certificate on your domain. Verify your DNS records, also known as the address book, with DMARC policies. It's a technical term that provides protection against unauthorized use of your domains, also commonly known as email spoofing. The National Cybersecurity Center has released a free tool where you can check the health of your domain under emailsecurity-check.service.ncsc.gov.uk. I'll provide the details at the end. Two-step checks. Always, but always make a phone call on request for payments or bank detail changes. You also need to train your staff to look at the from email address. Keep internal systems updated to ensure you have vendor protection by applying critical security updates, and your antivirus must be up to date to protect you from malware. Never send sensitive information via email. Use a password vault when you share passwords. Also, password protect documents with sensitive emails or information. Antivirus on its own today is no longer good enough. To overcome this, you need an additional layer of security. That will regulate your internet access and protect you against ransomware. At the end, backups remain number one. Ensure they are working. Ensure that you have all the critical data included in your backups. Ensure they are actually monitored daily. Up to 64% of companies pay the ransom, where 4 out of 10 fail to recover the data. Backup will safeguard you in these type of scenarios. You'll be able to restore the data after a ransomware attack. We normally recommend to our customers that you follow the 3-2-1 method. 3 copies of data, which 1 copy will be your production live data that you are using, and 2 different backup copies, with a minimum of 1 being offsite and a backup daily. The offsite backups also needs to be encrypted to make sure they are safeguarded in if they land in the hands of the wrong person. Thank you very much for joining. You are welcome to post any questions you might have.
Thank you for that, Isaac. That's a real eye-opener. We do have a question from Chris. Do you need to back up emails when using a cloud provider?
Yes, there's a great assumption that as soon as you use the cloud, that they provide backups also. So depending on the provider and depending on all the services they provide you, but it's important to check with them. But we would always recommend that you use a third-party tool to actually back up data or the emails for you. And that you also ensure if you're in a position where there's a lights out position or the provider is offline, that you retain a copy. Hopefully that answers the question, Chris.
Thank you. Any other questions for us this morning? Chris says thanks. Question from Henri. Why do you recommend additional application for internet access control?
Well, mainly because it provides a second layer of defense and purely focus on validating the internet traffic. It's essential that you monitor the internet traffic, especially with the links that you that we see happens often with where it contains malware.
Mm. Okay. Yes, there's certainly many different aspects. Henry says very valuable. Thank you. Question from Chris. What exactly is a man-in-the-middle attack, and what are some examples?
This is obviously where they gain access to communication. As explained earlier, you get other examples where they would also refer to as man in the browser, where they hack the browser and they actually start listening in on the communication between the browser and the actual user. Or there's also another term they refer to as SSL stripping, where the encrypted communication are downgraded to basic communication where it's no longer encrypted and they can actually read the information. There's another terminology they also where it's Wi-Fi eavesdrop, where a victim would, example, connect to a malicious wireless and they would it's again a technical term that change the DNS and redirect you to a different website.
Mm.
And then another one also referred to as session hijacking, where example you might be using an internet or access an online account in an internet cafe and you didn't log off properly.
Gosh, it's actually frightening. We actually have a link that we can share with everybody to the free email security tool that we will share.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a question coming through from John Wainwright, who's busy typing a message.
Sure.
So thanks, very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
I think that seems to be everyone.
Thank you very much for attending.
We've got one more person typing a message, actually.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mohammed Reza Behashti says, thanks, very useful. Thank you.
It's a
Natasha,
great pleasure.
will there be a video available? Yes, there will be. Natasha? We'll post a link to a YouTube video, I believe.
That's correct, yes.
Right. Yes, I think it's very valuable to have this information. Okay, I think we are. Any more questions for us this morning?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fawn.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.